Okay, folks. Good, wherever the hell this is. Morning, afternoon, late morning, damn near afternoon, something like that. Here we are again, struggling with not really struggling, but building these plastic soldier company builds that are taking a hell of a lot longer than they should. For a really basic model, these are taking a long time to put together. These are kind of filthy. So this is the honey that we completed, and this is the other honey that we're putting together. And it's just being a big chore, just having to clean up so much flash on these things. One of these is going to have the commander open. And we'll just see. We'll see who shows up. Kind of at an odd time. I was not able to get on this morning, not because I wasn't awake, but didn't want to do a lot of commotion here. The other people that were staying with us and staying just a few meters away from my opening here. And we'll see what kind of people come by today if people aren't at work. It is not a work day for us here. It's actually my last day off. I'm certain many people have the day off, but some of you guys may be recovering in recovery mode. I don't have that problem, but and honestly, I'm still. We're back to that. We're after putting this together, and the Humber car, and the Valentine. I have my opinion of Plastic Soldier Company has kind of changed. I think that if they're going to charge the amount that they're charging, all right, let me dial that back. The amount we have to pay here in the United States for these models, including shipping, plus shipping, we're having to do a lot of work. These need a lot of. I don't know why there's so much flash on this particular vehicle, but there's quite a bit of flash on it, and it's like, man, I'm doing a lot of work for something that's not cheap. I mean, heck, I got to trim the turret ring, everything. I just expect better fit and finish for something that is not cheap. Yep. That still doesn't fit in there. And also trying to figure out the instructions so I don't build the wrong version of something, because a lot of this stuff is just downright wrong. Yeah, it's still really tight. There we go. That's better. And flash in annoying places like around these rivets and stuff. Around these little details here that are at the top of this section. And of course, deciphering the instructions. I actually don't have a problem with their stuff being kind of crude from the standpoint of these like headlamps here. They don't have much detail to them. I don't have a problem with that at all, because it just means they're durable. I can paint that kind of stuff on there, but other things that are included in here that don't fit well, that's a little bit more inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. I'm just glad I didn't buy 12 of these things. That's what I was going to do. I was going to buy 3 packs of them, 12 of these honeys. And that's without me really having a time frame on them. I can only imagine it's like, man, I got to get these done in a week or something to play some kind of a game. I'm gonna have to throw them together haphazardly. I'm getting a bit tired of things falling on the floor. And I could scoop myself up, but then I'm going to hurt my back. So, maybe I just build things on the floor. Now they can't fall on the floor. Okay, that's where that fits. It's just a bit of a tight fit, and it pops this out of whack. So what's going on here? It's one of these locators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove one side. That is one thing I will tell you about Plastic Soldier Company that is not a problem, is their plastic is a little on the soft side. So if you've got to deal with something that's obstinate, and is it an issue? Oh, I see. the problem goes further. All right, I'll cut the other side off too. And we will glue the front of this down. And then there's a fair amount of flash on the 37mm gun too. I think they'll paint up okay though. Let's hope. Let's see if we can. But really, the biggest thing that I find unforgivable about these guys is that they provide the instructions. They designed the tanks. They did provide the instructions, and their instructions are definitely wrong. There's things that are for one version and they're not. Not only the completed view of the tank is incorrect, also it's just a lot of stuff that just shouldn't be. I mean, I don't. Did they rush the hell out of this stuff? I don't know. You know, but there's so many notes, and I'm going to go over this stuff in my unboxing video. But, you know, we've got, this part should be a green part. This is for the blue and the red version. These Sponson machine guns don't go on that. These that are green should be for the blue one should be for the green one. These two are exactly the same piece, but yet they're labeled like different pieces. Just a lot of stuff that just doesn't jive. You know, I just don't, I don't understand what's going on with these folks. So, maybe the person put it together is colorblind. That would make sense. That would be a reasonable, you know, explanation. That's fine if you're colorblind. Don't be the one that does instructions with colors. And it's not all their stuff. No problems with the Sherman. No problems with the Czech 38 / Martyr set. No problem with the German armored cars, the 231 series armored cars. No problem with the quad tractors. But then these other three I got, there's a problem with all three of them. There's a problem with the honeys, there's a problem with the Humbers, and there's a problem with the Valentines. Just really, really weird. I'm just doing the amount of work that I would have expected as something like a vacuum form kit or something. Smack dab in the center. Now, one thing I did find, Happy New Year, Jules. Hope you had a safe one. Hope you don't have a hangover. Or, a minor headache. A dehydration headache. I got one pretty early and basically stopped drinking. I did find a document in my searching this morning because I did model this morning, but I had people staying in the living room, so I didn't want to do it live. I did finish the Valentine, and in doing so, I actually came across a document reinforcing some of the stuff that I found out, and this is a document off of a website that breaks down all the unit of service, confirming the ones for the 4th Armored Brigade. So the numbers that I had were correct. The 40, 87, and 67 there for... Actually, I haven't checked to see if they're correct, but the 40 is the one that is correct, because I was going to plan on putting the 40s on there. No hangover thanks to alcohol-free Guinness. Does it taste okay? because a lot of those things taste significantly different. Um, and here's the thing that I was really interested in. I couldn't find out whether the 11th Hussars or the Senior Armored Car Regiment of the 7th Armored Division. So you can find out what the unit of service are, and according to this document, they are. I figured that they were, but yeah. And I asked on another site. He's like, no, I think another unit is a senior one. So we have that information because we're going to go ahead and put the unit of service on those, which we put it on the one that's knocked out. The one Humber is knocked out. So I was just in the middle of doing this. Fitting this one together was a lot easier than the first one because I knew what had to be done. However, it still has all this silly little flash on it. Well, that means I got to turn that off. Okay. Wouldn't know if it was 8% if not 0% if not for label. That's excellent. I like beer, but beer messes me up, makes me feel yucky more than anything else. I get flushed and stuff. That doesn't mean I don't have it, but I definitely don't want to have it late in the evening. That's a recipe to feel like garbage the next day. So the 30 cal that goes on there. Just so much little flash. This is good. This is good. This is good. These are good. I was working on these this morning. That's good. Just need to clean this stuff and then we can assemble. There's just all kinds of world's worst picture taker. There you go. Maybe this will give you some kind of an idea what I'm dealing with. I mean, it's just going to look like crap if I end up like dry brushing over that. Catching this 30 cals is a challenge on the 15 millimeter Stewarts. Well, I was surprised. I'm sure it's the same. That there wasn't like like for instance, say this was connected, and you could rotate this in different positions. I guess I could make it that way. As it's flat on one side, I could just rotate. That's actually a pretty good idea. I think I may do that because you have to sit this flush like that. There's one side of this that's flat, and if you set this up against the turret, you're going to get stuck with all these machine guns pointing in that same direction, and that wasn't always the case. So if I cut this off here and then I can rotate this in a different direction, I mean I can also just glue it like this, but it's the one side that's flat, and now that flat part's facing out. So I would imagine with the weld cement that the 30 cal would work just fine. So that's probably what I'm going to do on these three. I'm going to make all three of them different. I really wanted to use these early production. I really wanted to use these fuel tanks, but I can't see any examples of those being used in the desert. But I made all kinds of notes here because these are wrong. I mean, they rushed. You know what pieces you need to do to make each one is incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. That's just kind of unforgivable. I mean, once you know what it is, I mean, there's other than the flash on. I mean, they're good kits, but I shouldn't be doing the QC for them. You know, the quality control is not my job. So the instructions are wrong on here. The instructions are wrong on the Valentines as well. I don't know what happened with these batch of vehicles. It's like they rushed them or something. I don't mind this taking a while, but it's like, okay, I have a limited amount of free time before I got to go to the salt mines tomorrow. I'd like to build all these vehicles, and I've only gotten 3 of the 9 things put together. It's like, man, this is just taking way too long. And the first one of these took like 2 hours to put together. Like that's pretty extreme for a simple kit. All right, I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Yeah, so I really wasn't expecting that. It's not a problem. It's just, it's expectations. The Humber, the instructions are not what they should be, and the ones on the Valentine are totally wrong. Not totally wrong, but there's wrong information on there. It's just they should do a better job than that. They should do a better job than that. So, anyhow, I guess maybe I lucked out. I mean, the Czech 38s are awesome. The Czech 38s are great, and the Martyrs are great. The Panthers were great. So, yeah, I had to take my contacts out. I'm working on stuff that's way too detail oriented. I need every magnification I can get my hands on for this. The hatches on the top of the Mark II Valentine can go either way. And one side has two little dots, and one side has like a latch. And they're bullshit the way that they look. I mean, if you look at a real vehicle, if you look at line drawings, because I'm like, I don't want to have the two little dots on the wrong side, right? Because it could go either way. I just ended up making a decision for one way or the other, because it's not shown on real vehicles. I could have just taken both of things off, but now you got even less detail on it. I consulted scale mates, model things. I'm like, why is this so damn difficult, And you can't tell on this drawing because it's too small which way they want. Although just because they say to do it a certain way doesn't necessarily the case, because these guys, the ones that design whoever designed the instructions and whoever designed the actual molds are at odds in certain times. It's just kind of weird. I just wasn't expecting that from Plastic Soldier Company. And I mean, I could just put these together and not file all these things down, but, I want them to look good. As a matter of fact, I think these honeys are going to look spectacular, but they need some tinkering done to them. Let me take a look at something. It might actually be, I may be looking at this wrong. Let's look at a M3 Honey turret. Well, that's a creative way to spell turret. Images. Oh, it's a vision slot. With a single dot on either side of it. But here it's actually two above and two below. So if this is wrong, I'm just going to take those I'm just going to take them off. I'm just going to take those rivets off. That'd save me a ton of work. I still have another one to build. That one's different. Yeah, see? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to remove them. I'm not going to remove the vision slot. I'm going to remove these other rivets. And I'll paint 4 in. And that's a hell of a lot less work. just wasn't expecting this kind of a issue. Well, whatever. I've got the skill set to be able to fix it. It's just, you have this idea like, all right, I got this free day. I'll be able to put all these together. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Then we can prime them all. Nope. Well, it happens. And these aren't cheap here in the United States, you know, because you add shipping to the price of these things. They're rather expensive. Now here we got to make sure we don't mess up that hatch opening. Get to it like from this angle. Get to it over from this angle. Wish they made these like tiny little sanding things. What's up, Ben? You do anything crazy last night? We just stayed home. I've only, that I can remember, only twice have I gone out for New Year's. One of them was, my wife was pregnant at the time, so this would have been like 2000 and, well, it would have been 2005. It would have been 2004 and 2005. And we went somewhere. Nothing crazy happened, but there was like roadblocks or alcohol testing places, which wasn't an issue because my wife was the one that drove because she couldn't drink. And then like 3 years ago, we ended up going to one of those low flying helicopters. We ended up going to Tennessee, and we drove back from a concert that we went to. Kind of a small affair type thing, and people were all over the road. Like, we planned accordingly, because you don't need to be on the road driving, much less at night, much less when everybody else is drinking, potentially. And there was an accident. There was a car that had, it looked like a one car. Was it one car or two cars? It might have been two. Anyways, and the car was in a dark spot on the interstate, and it was facing 90 degrees from the direction of travel. So its lights were on, but you couldn't tell that the lights were there had to avoid them. No, watched a little of the fireworks and I fell asleep. Dog was upset by some fireworks outside here, so had to chill him out. Had to give the dog some catnip. There was some fireworks in the next neighborhood behind us, and we got some of those noisemakers. I got one in particular that's excruciatingly loud. Like, I'm going to bring it into work with me tomorrow and get people's attention. It's just some cheapy little thing, but for whatever reason, it's one of those kazoos you can blow like super loud. People like 2 counties over can hear you. I'll get tired of this at some point. I'll go back to working on the Panzer IV. But I'm like, okay, well, I can paint these. I can build these guys together. I can build these guys up and do that today. It's the last hurrah today. But the flash on this thing is literally, it's very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. I don't know, do the molds on plastic models like age over time? Will they get flash and shit on them? Like the white metal ones? I'm ready to about throw in the towel with this. Not, give up, just give up with it for now. It's creating a lot of shakiness. I think where the halves meet can get a little dinged up by leading to a more pronounced seam line. Yeah. This part of it is okay. There's major issues if chunks of the steel are falling out, like the rubber on the metal mini molds. There's major issues if chunks of the steel are falling out like the rubber on the metal mini molds. Had a fair few metal castings I've pulled clumps of vulcanized rubber out of. I try to always message the manufacturer to let them know in case they had a new mold on the agenda. I've never had something like that happen. Yeah, I guess they make another casting and part of the mold comes with it. So, the next one that they make after that one's going to be, it's going to have extra stuff in there it shouldn't. Okay, that's better. I think the lack of sleep that I had is catching up to me. I'm not tired, I'm just like jittery. I'm jittery with a knife. Get away from me. All right, let's see if we can get to this right here. Okay, yep. And let's do this machine gun. I've had it twice with Museum and once with Essex, but the Essex one was a secondhand purchase from Colonel Bill's, so I don't know how long that was ago it was cast. Wow. Yeah, I just saw that Museum was running some big sale. 25% off or something like that. Sorry, not in the market for those. Now, we can attach this like so. Are there any miniatures you've bought of any denomination that you regret buying? You're like, man, I wish I hadn't jumped the gun on whatever it was. And maybe you bought them a long time ago. Doesn't even have to be miniature. Something you bought a long time ago that you're like, man, I wish I would have never gotten this. I regret impulse buying whatever this is. I could say that I might have regretted buying Gaslands, but we did play it a few times. I just don't have it in me to go and try to fix things that are obviously that are broken in the rules or don't jive or it's got loopholes like DBA does. Now this side is flat and these other sides are not. So if I want this 30 cal facing any direction other than this way, exactly like this one, I've got to cut it here and rotate it. And I'm not opposed to doing that at all. But I need to see if I can find some photographic evidence. In real pictures, we're going to use real photos for that. And see, when the hatch opens on the Stewart, it's got some little pegs there that catch it. Must have been a late night purchase when the mine was tired. Okay, got a few out of pets. Warzone Mutant Chronicles. They're far too stylized for your taste. Warzone Mutant Chronicles, huh? Well, here's that machine gun exactly in that same position. But let's look at, there's great black and white stuff on honeys. Great stuff on them. And it's frequently in that position. Oh, this is interesting. This is a stowage set from Red Dog UK. I've looked at this before, for the honeys. That's not the problem that's interesting. The interesting thing is there's a machine gun on there. There's a 50 caliber, not a 30 caliber, a 50. You absolutely hate the MG at the back of the honey turret on the PSC kit. It blocks the turret from turning, and there's no notch for it to sit when you're gluing it. It blocks the turret from turning. It turns okay on mine. It's not clear where it goes. It should have been on this little area that was extended on the turret and then just fits in there, and then I can just, like I did on the Sherman, I didn't even glue it. Like my Shermans don't have them glued. And the fit on there is tight enough that it isn't an issue. A 50 caliber on the back of them. That's just flat wrong. I've never seen that. If you have this spare fuel canisters on. So, as much as I want to use them, I can't find any photos that they were used in North Africa. I've seen like an Australian version that had them, like in the Pacific. This version that they have. This reenactor vehicle has it, but I don't see any of them in North Africa. And I don't really dislike how it looks. It's just, I don't see it on any vehicles in North Africa. Man, that 30 caliber machine is almost always in this position right here. Here's one set, but this is artwork. Hold on just a second, I'll be right back. found the ugliest AFV. M8 Greyhound and Katanga. Uh-oh. Oh, man. You ain't kidding. Look at that symbol. The hand. Isn't that the symbol that those guys did from Lord of the Rings, right? They resurrected all those orcs or whatever. Or hobgoblins or hob orcs or whatever the hell they were. Went and put the, you know, rise and create a human wave. That is pretty freaking ugly. That is pretty darn ugly. So one of the things that these honeys are missing is the antennas. And the antennas come at this like 45-degree angle. Somewhere in here. And they don't even have a spot for them. So I'm probably going to build a spot. Even though it's going to be a problem now with this in a way. I'm going to probably drill a hole at some kind of an angle. So when you have the antenna, it's like swept back. Uruk-hai. How? Uruk-hai. Uruk-hai. Were you one of those people that read Lord of the Rings? I know that's one of those books that's an old book that a lot of people have read. It just never interested me. And if so, were you disappointed with how it was delivered? Or did it do a good job with it? The only books that I have watched the movie and read are very limited. And I've seen the movie first. So like I'm influenced by the look of things in the movie. And then I read about them, not the other way around. Not like, oh, you have this idea that, this is a such and such a thing. I mean, it doesn't look that way. I'm trying to think, is there anything other than the two Jurassic Park movies, the two Jurassic Park books, that I have read the book and watched the movies from? And I'm not sure. Nah, you just watch the films. Some people love the movies. I mean, people that are not even into... I mean, some people love the books. They're just, way before my time. This is just... I'm like unnerved by this. Just having to tinker with it so much. Like damn near jittery about it. play some State of Decay to get out of my system. I actually started, and then last week I started a new community on State of Decay. And put this one on the wrong one. This is the original one. And I played it Nightmare. Obviously I finished the game on normal, and I can play it at Dread. But Nightmare is just a totally different animal. You're gonna die. You're gonna die within 3 days. But I do like the difficulty in trying to find weapons. You know, and it forced me to like use the crossbow for a while, which is something that, you know, like I'm gonna use a crossbow. I'm gonna use, you know, real weapons, not a crossbow. You tried watching them again, and goodness, the melodramatics are off the charts. I've only seen the 3 once. And then when my daughter was of age, I'm like, well, let's just go through and watch them. I just figured it was a PG-13 thing she could watch, you know. You got kids movies, and you got movies that just, you'd want a young adult to watch, but they got too much inappropriate stuff in them. You know, they got too much sex and stuff in them that you don't need to expose your kids to. So that was one of those that falls into I think they're rated PG-13 anyways. She watched the first one and the second one, didn't want to watch the third one. It's like, man, it's too slow. And I agree with her. I don't really want to watch them again. I'm not saying they're done poorly. They're just not my thing, you know. I've never seen the Hobbit ones, the new ones, or newer ones. But I'd rather watch them than watch any Harry Potter garbage. I tried watching that first movie twice, and I think the record is like 17 minutes is as far as I've made it watching those things. They're definitely not made for me. Although one of these times we're going to actually rent the Gladiator 2. I see it was available for rent. I know I'm going to hate it, but I'm just wondering how bad is it going to be. Maybe it'll be available on my long flight. Okay, I think this is glued well enough. Or cleaned up well enough. I mean, hell, there's even flash on these latches. If I make this open, I'm going to have to prop this up with something. I'm going to make this one closed. Make the third one. I'll make the third one open. Enough with the fumbling. Okay, this has got to be up here. I'm gonna glue them all in the same place. I'm not gonna weaken them by adding the 30 cal. In a place it doesn't really belong. Okay, we'll do the same thing on this other side. Raise this a smidge. That's a bit more than a smidge. The other things that go on here are nothing there. No, I'm actually afraid I'm gonna have to take a nap. I went to sleep after 1:30 last night. So we're gonna take a little bit of a nap, and maybe we'll be back in the evening.